to everybody to say, yeah, we're going to be cutting back the trees so that the power lines aren't in quite so much jeopardy from high winds and what have you. And everyone's like, yay, that'll be good. We kind of figured they were just going to go along and cut back the trees that were kind of entangled in the power lines. But no, they hauled back about 15-20 feet from the road line. So there is absolutely no tree cover for about 10-15 feet from the power lines, which I was surprised. I would say I wasn't expecting them to cut back that much. It kind of does make sense because the woodland is not cared for, so a lot of the trees are in very poor condition. We have trees that just fall down, limbs fall off, what have you. So yeah, I wouldn't chop down any of the trees and figure you're going to make anything out of them. It's something I've noticed a lot about American sort of tree land, if you like, unless it's a specific, you know, logging area or what have you, or it has an arborist that's tending the trees. A lot of the trees, yeah, wild, are just some of the mankiest trees I've ever seen. You know, you go to woodland in England and most of the trees are in very nice condition. Mooses. Yeah, we don't get... I will say we never get mooses around here. I've never seen anything like that. We're deers and turkeys, rabbits, squirrels, a lot of crows. Crows can get quite belligerent. We've seen crows standing up to rabbits and squirrels quite frequently. There was one crow that decided to pick on a squirrel, so a squirrel attacked the crow from behind, which was rather amusing. The crow wasn't impressed. But, yeah. And then probably the most dangerous animal in the area, and we're not really in a rural area, we're in a sort of... It's sort of a natural growth area within the outer boundaries of a city. We're not within the main city limits. We're in a township just outside the main city. But while practically the whole of the rest of our development is has housing on it, the one small part at the bottom of our yard is still wild. And we're empty. Let's deal with the empty. So because it's, you know, because technically it's wild land, I guess we do see some animals, but we don't see anything too dangerous. Now, I got a friend who lives a few miles outside of the sort of the natural boundary of what you would consider the built-up area of the city, not the city limits, but just beyond. And he said when he goes for a walk, he takes a firearm with him because they have wild dogs out that way. And so he doesn't want to be walking down the lane and just be surrounded by a pack of wild dogs, because that could be a bad thing. But that's about as dangerous an animal as we have in this neck of the woods. No pun intended. Okay, if if I line up there, that should catch everything and get me lined up for the next row. If I press the GPS pointing button at the right point. There we go. This may be the end of the tank as far as we're concerned. Spreading here. I think I've seen a couple of raptors around occasionally. Birds, not dinosaurs. And yeah, they're kind of few and far between, but they're around enough that the rabbits tend to be wary when they're out in the middle of the yard. Oh, we also have a groundhog at the end of the yard, just in front of the wooded area. Basically, the wooded area, I said, yeah, the trees are in horrible condition. So 2 of the trees that are part of our yard fell down. In fact, last year 2 of the trees in the neighbour's yard fell down. Just fell down. Just, hey, we're done. Now the neighbour does chop up the wood and has a sort of a burn pile where he disposes of it. We don't have such a thing. I do have a small chainsaw, but not something to chop down trees or chop up major tree limbs. It's more for trimming back some of the trees along the edge of our land, which the branches have got so heavy they're dragging on the floor, so they kind of need to be chopped. Yeah, I chop up the trunk to reduce the ground cover. I also stop tree bits getting stuck in the lawnmowers. But yeah, so anyway, there's 2 trees fell over at the bottom of our yard before we ever moved in, and groundhog has moved in underneath the tree stumps, so he will occasionally work his way down the side of the yard. We've got a bunch of fir trees, pine trees, something like that. I'm not a tree guy, so I couldn't tell you what type of trees they are. But he sometimes works his way down the side of the yard under the cover of the trees, and you'll see him by our garage and the driveway, just routing around there for whatever he routes for. But most of the time he sticks to the bottom of the yard and in the wooded area that we don't actually own. Yeah, I think the year we moved in 2020, I think the year we moved in, I have still to this day never got a picture of the groundhog, but I have got a picture of, oh, they're empty, a group of deer running through and a group of turkeys running through. I might have multiple events of each of them, but this year, as I said, not so much. Find out there, run! Okay, this might be the last tank. So I could jump out and take a look. We are, wow. What do we started off with over 300,000 litres of slurry, so we've done good. We've reduced our slurry holding by about 60%. Now, obviously, we're not going to do any more slurry spreading the rest of this month. It's an option. We could spread slurry as part of a fertilization contract, but I think the problem with that is just too far to run across the map to so many of the fields that I'm disinclined to use our slurry on their fields. Also, I think the stuff we're planning to plant in the late harvest fields are generally going to be That's annoying. Are generally going to be low nitrogen requiring crops, so I don't have to put down quite a heavy load of slurry. As I said, we're going to generate some more through the end of this month with all the cows we have, and we'll see. I think we're getting kind of borderline slurry production to usage, which might mean that getting a manure spreader could be the next thing to consider. Not, oh, I need something to throw manure around with. It would be a, oh look, there's a manure spreader on the store sales. It would be useful to have one, because manure has just above zero value, and as I said, the BGA can only process 50,000 litres at a time, and there's also the hassle of actually transporting that much manure out to the BGA. So yeah, I think it was £700 per 22,000 litres of manure. It's sort of, really, I'm not so much inclined to run this all out to the BGA in the quantities that we're producing it. Okay, GPS system is turned off. Probably shouldn't put this in the workshop full of manure. However, I can't actually unload the manure back into the slurry pit. I would have to seriously reorganise the yard and place a slurry tank storage in order to do that sort of thing. Okay, we need to repair that. Yes. We need to repair that. Yes. And, well, what the heck, we might as well repair that too. Yes. Okay, jump back in that. Everything is still attached. And the tractor should get refueled. Actually, you know what I'm thinking right now? We don't need to use this until next month. So, and I think I did put a pressure washer on in the other yard last week. Can't remember where, but pretty sure I did that. Now, the other thing I look at when I'm storing equipment long term is where is it most likely to be used. On this farm, there are two adjacent fields, one over there, one at the top. We don't own the one at the top, which produce grass. Cows eat grass, so all of our mowing equipment is in this yard because it just makes sense. We don't have to transport it very far to where we're going to use it most of the time. Okay, that's all clean. I'll clean some of these too. Arable equipment, I'm storing up the next yard round over in that general direction because that's where I'm going to be doing most of my seeding, planting, seeding and planting, cultivating, harvesting, all the rest of it. So the harvester will live up at the arable yard, it won't live on this yard. And that comes to what I was saying about the tractors. If I decide I need a small loader tractor on the arable farm, I might buy one. But I think for the most part, our loader tractor is going to be used for the cows, and still under decision, pigs if we buy them. So I'm not I don't see a need for having a tiny tractor on the arable, in the arable yard at the moment. However, something like the Deutz, I might think, well, you know what? It's kind of old. The number of jobs happening up at that yard that might entail using it are probably less than the jobs we're doing on this yard for this tractor. So I might put a newer mid-sized on this farm, in this yard, and relocate the Deutz up to the top yard. Same with the John Deere. You know, the John Deere is probably going to be doing more with planting, haulage and everything else. So we're going to want it where we do most of that job. And this is what I was saying about detaching. Oh, actually, I'm an idiot. I think I need to move that to there. And I think it says I can't detach it because we have to lower it. So, go there, lower that, switch back to the implement and then detach it. Okay. That's that's the one big annoying thing I found with that particular slurry spreader, is that you have to lower the injector. So yeah, I think this yard will support a mid-sized tractor and the Massey that we have, whereas the top yard is arable. If we've got the big tractor up there, I think that this tractor and the John Deere complement each other quite well, and we'll bias towards using the John Deere because it's got fewer hours and is younger. But yeah, but the reason I keep the slurry tank on this field, in spite of the fact it's predominantly going to be used in arable fields, our supply of slurry is right there, and I don't see a point in driving out to a yard half a mile down the road that way to grab the slurry spreader so I can bring it down here to fill it, and then I can spread slurry on the fields around here. It just, whoops, engine off. Just kind of makes sense to me. Okay, it is 4:43 on the first day of July. I forgot to put diesel in the Deutz, so we'll get back in that and do that thing. So the Massey is refueled. It hasn't been maintained. Well, I don't think it's been maintained recently, so we'll. But I don't think it was that poor a condition. John Deere might need some, but I think the way the farm sits at the moment, we have done all of the field work that we need to do in our fields for the month of July. Now what that means for us is day 2 we can reserve for doing our 1 day of contracts a month. Self-imposed limit, it's limiting our an overage of income. There are so many fields on this map. Let's jump over there and take a look. Hello. 116, 118, 190, 129, 131, 32, 33. So about 133 fields on this map. And if I said, yeah, we can just do contracts every day, all day, and I can knock out this block of grass fields in half a day, you can see that in a very short period of time we can accrue $1 million just on contracts. And I kind of want to limit what I do in that way. So I can pick 1 day per month. I don't necessarily pick 1 day per month, but if I don't have anything else to do, I may look at the contract list and say, okay, we are going to do all these contracts today, but they have to be completed within the course of that day, and we then can't do any tomorrow. So I've used up all of today working on our fields. That's good. Normally I'd do contracts on day one because we don't have anything better to do. And then day 3 in the month I'm usually doing most of the perishable deliveries. And all these things aren't set in stone. I can do contracts on day 1, I can do the contracts on day 3. It doesn't matter, but once I've done a day of contracts within a month, I'm not doing any more. So, I'm going to sleep till 7. How about that? And we can check the store sales, because awesome store sales are awesome. Okay, vehicle leasing costs is the milk truck. Property maintenance and stuff is whatever it is. We have a grape harvester. Yeah, I don't need one of those. We have a cultivator. Needs 100 horsepower, 3 meters. I really don't need one of those. And we have a really old Volvo front loader. And £14,000. I don't need one of those either. So we'll skip that as a thing. So we did that. Let's go look at contract. Let's look at cows. Still 307. Slurry's down to 150. So we've already generated another 10,000 in the last 8 hours. It's got a good amount of straw bedding. I'm kind of okay with that. I'm hoping that'll last us most of the year. But I do have about 5 bales at the moment. We're still... Okay. This ticks up 1, or actually this one's better because it's kind of 10% per month. This will tick up to 60% only on the 1st of every month. So I don't actually have to look at that until the 1st day of next month. Go and have a look at contracts. I'm not going to look at the baling. There is some cultivating contracts. We do not have a cultivator, but we could borrow equipment to do it. Is that a Series 7 or a Series 8? Got a fairly good sized cultivator. That's a Valtra, possibly a Q. And that's another something. Harvesting, they're mostly small. There's liming contracts. We don't have a spreader, so I can't really do the liming. So really I'm looking at harvesting or cultivating. I could borrow the equipment for cultivating just to do. Why don't I look at that? Okay, so this is going to cost me 900 on borrowed equipment, 500 on borrowed equipment, 900 on borrowed equipment. That's exactly the same piece of equipment, but it's cheaper. And that is, I don't know, do I want to drive the Valtra or the Deutz? We've got a Deutz, but that is cheaper. Okay, we are going to borrow the items, accept the contract, and accept the contract. 38, 81, 94. I need to turn the details on. So 38 is the borrowed equipment, 81 and 94 are not. Now let's have a look to see. So 94, 38, 81. We can leave here, we can go that way. Looks like I have to get to there, drive through there, up there, and we can do 81. We can then head back to this yard, do 94, and then finish in 38 and give the equipment back. How about that? Okay. Really? Oh yes, sorry. And it was a Series 7 TTV. So this is actually the same tractor as we're... No, is it? No, it's the Series 8. Okay, so, and it's the Warrior edition of the Series 8. Nice. It's a bit bigger than ours. It's a little bit more horsepower. I mean, the cab is very similar. Okay. Well, we get a panoramic roof as well. We probably don't have loader attachments, because why would you? Not sure the Series 8 supports loader attachments. Dude! Seriously. I slowed down so you would not be in my way. Okay. So... and with this piece of equipment behind us, this probably won't take too long to achieve. And then I'll probably look at some harvesting contracts, and we'll do those in our equipment, just because we should. I can't remember what the Series 8 specs are. I suppose we can take a look. Medium tractor for 8. Series 8. That's 287 horsepower. It's 40 more than ours. So this is still classed as within range of our tractor. Although for an upgrade, if we ever do decide we're done with the Series 7, I have the option to replace it with the Series 8. The Series 8 doesn't take a front loader, but at this stage we're beyond needing a front loader on. Interior color, dark grey, halogen beacon lights, front warning lights, animations. Yeah, so the Series 8 doesn't support loader arms, but we're beyond needing loader arms on our medium tractor. We really only did that because the tractor it was our first tractor. I need all the toys on it. Got the Agco 1000. I do like that. No, there's a Series 9, which is 295 horsepower, no upgrades. No, it does have upgrades. 295 to 336. It's still a little bit low. I kind of want to be closer to 400. This one, minimum level engine, is exactly where I want to be. Is there a Series 9 TTV in the base game? That's what I'm not seeing Series 9 TTV. So, okay. It was just a thought. So the Series 9 is not big enough as a big tractor. The Series 8 might work better for us now that we're not needing a front loader for the Series 7. Yeah, I could lose most of the function of this tractor in an upgrade and not miss it. As I said, the only issue I have is picking up stones, but we could, if a stone picker came up in store sales, we could lose the stone picking bucket and just buy a stone picker and haul it behind the tractor, which would make the picking up of stones less laborious. And technically I wouldn't need to use GPS quite so much picking them all up. Okay, field in front of us has been limed, so all we have to do is drag the big red piece of equipment over it. Oh, and damage everything. Why not? Because rocks. I think I was saying to Mrs. O.C. yesterday, I'm not bonded to a specific brand. I know, some players. Oh, I like Massey Ferguson's. I've driven Massey Ferguson's all my life. I've got to drive Massey Ferguson's in Farm Sim. I am not one of those people. So what I tend to do is pick a variety of manufacturer labels over my entire fleet. Obviously, the hold behind equipment is what it is, and frequently it's sort of, well, there's a 12 metre seeder, and there's a 15 metre seeder, and there's a 9 metre seeder, and how wide do you want it? But that's the one you're stuck with. With tractors, you do have a range of vehicles that will meet your needs. So if you want a Valtra, you can get a Valtra. If you want a Fendt, you can get a Fendt. And and I will. That's the way I look at things. And so I'm not bought into, if I replace the Deutz, it has to be another one. I'm bought into if I have to replace the Deutz because it just doesn't do the job I need it to, I need to replace it with a tractor that can do what I now need done. And let me do this.